this process. Now we discussed about the three doshas, Vata, Pitta, Kapha, the functional principles. We discussed about the 5 elements, earth, water, fire, air and space. We discussed about the digestive and metabolic fires, the Agni. We discussed about the dhatus, the tissues, right? The Rasa Dhatu, the nutritive essence absorbed after the digestion of food. Rakta Dhatu, the blood and associated tissue. Then Mamsa Dhatu, Medo Dhatu, Asti, Majja and Shukla. 7 tissues. And the Ojas, the vitality, the aura. We discussed all these, various concepts. The correct balance and strength of these various elements, the various concepts, help in maintaining a balanced life. The balanced 3 principles, Vata, Pitta, Kapha, 3 dosha. The balanced Agni, the digestive and metabolic fire. The balanced and well-nourished dhatus, the 7 tissues. Optimally strong ojas, the vitality and the strength. That helps in maintaining a good health. So any deviation, any variation, any problem, any disturbance, any imbalance in any of these layers of our life causes disease. Ultimately, the balance is health and imbalance is disease. There is a Sanskrit verse from the Ayurvedic text about the definition of health. It says that Sama dosha, sama agnischa, sama dhatu malakriya, prasanna atma indriyam manaha, swasta ityabhidhyate. No worries, I will explain you in English. Sama dosha, a balanced doshas, that means balanced Vata, Pitta and Kapha, 3 doshas. Sama agnischa, balanced digestive and metabolic fires. Sama dhatu, balanced and well-nourished all the 7 tissues. Malakriya, balanced the excretion, balanced waste disposal. Which are the waste, the malas within the body? One is the stool, the ball. Second is the urine. And third is the sweat. These are the 3 primary waste from the system. The balanced, motion or bowel movement and balanced urination and sweat is very important in maintaining that health, right? So, balanced malakriya, waste disposal, excretion. And prasanna atma indriya manaha, pleasant soul, that is prasanna atma. Prasanna indriya means a balanced and pleasant, all the 5 senses. And finally, prasanna manaha, pleasant mind. If all these balanced, pleasant situation is true in an individual, he or she is called as a healthy person. So, let me repeat again. Balanced 3 doshas, Vata, Pitta, Kapha. Balanced Agni, balanced digestion and metabolism. Balanced tissues and balanced excretion, the waste disposal. And pleasant soul, sense organ and the mind. If this harmony exists in an individual, that individual is called a healthy individual in Ayurveda. Very clear, very elaborated description, right? It is even much more or one step ahead than any other definitions of health. Okay, if that is health, any deviation, any disruption, any imbalance, any variation from this balanced state is called disease. Anything other than the balance is called a disease. As simple as that. So, An imbalance in the three doshas, Vata, Pitta, Kapha, leads to disease. An imbalance in Agni, the digestive and metabolic fire, leads to disease. An imbalance in the tissues leads to disease. An irregular, waste excretion leads to disease. If there is an unpleasantness, if there is a disturbance within the mental systems, the sensory organs, or all together, that disturbs the entire body mind function. So the imbalance in any of these levels can lead to disease. And I would like to explain you some of the examples of how this each and every factor we discussed can contribute to diseases. Let us discuss what is disease and how disease forms. The imbalance in the doshas or the agnis or the dhatus or the malas, that is the waste excretion, or disturbance in sensory or mental plane leads to disease. Let us go one by one. Let's see. Let's take first the doshas, the three doshas, Vata, Pitta, Kapha. What happens? Vata is the principle of movement, the principle of dynamism. The principle energy derived from air and space, right? Vata is cold, Vata is dry, Vata is rough, Vata is very mobile because it is air and space. Wherever there is space, there only movement possible, right? So when the Vata energy goes beyond normal, all the qualities of the Vata increases, right? The dryness of Vata increases, though there can be dry skin. Or there can be, constipation. It is nothing but dry stool, right? Dry intestine. Constipation. The roughness increases. Vata is rough. Vata is mobile. The mobility goes beyond. It's like tremors, stammering, twitching, shivering. These are all, the outcome of Vata increase. And Vata is light in nature. So the lightness, so there will be degeneration. There will be dryness and degeneration when Vata aggravates, goes beyond a limit. So the movement disorders, the dryness, the degeneration, the weakness, roughness, all these are the outcome of aggravated Vata. And Vata is the principle of movement. Now, many diseases you can, associate with it, right? Constipation, simple one. All degenerative and painful diseases. All movement disorders, including, tremors and stammering and even in Parkinson's, etc. All those movement disorders will come under the aggravation of Vata, outcome of aggravation of Vata. Now let's see Pitta. Pitta is the principle of transformation, right? Pitta is primarily from the fire, derived from the fire. So a Pitta imbalance can cause many diseases, right? When Pitta aggravates, there is a fire aggravates. So there will be burning within the system. Hyperacidity, for example. Acid is nothing but liquid fire. We discussed that, right? So there can be burning, there can be ulceration, hyperacidity. And the pus forming, the boils, the infection, the reddish pus forming infection, that is a clean Pitta outcome. There can be more anger, violence, etc. It's a outcome of the mental imbalance of the Pitta. The Pitta can cause many problems, right? Now let us take kapha. Kapha is the principle of structure and stability, the binding, the principle of cohesion and binding. So the stickiness will be more when kapha is more, right? Very simple logic. Very simple logic. So kapha is heavy, so the heaviness, increased heaviness in the system, right? So obesity can be initially triggered by kapha, of course, right? So the heaviness, lethargy, dullness, the stickiness. Stickiness means the excessive mucus, the congestion. All those are kapha aggravation. So it's very clear that the dosha imbalance, the imbalance in the three doshas can definitely end up with various diseases. Simple, diseases to very complex diseases. So, dosha. Next is Agni. An imbalance in Agni can cause disease. We discussed that already, right? If your digestive strength is weak, improper digestion, delayed digestion, chance of absorbing the improperly digested food leading to again lethargy, stagnation, blockage and various diseases. Ayurveda says this is one of the main reasons for diseases in all levels, whether it's metabolic disorders or skin disorders or joint disorders, mental disorders, digestive problems can, Agni, the imbalance in Agni, digestive and metabolic system can cause a lot of diseases. In fact, the current day health problems, this Agni imbalance is the main reason. So, dosha, Agni, next is Dhatu. Imbalance in the tissues, definitely it can cause disease. Anemia, it is a lack of blood, right? Low blood count. Muscular dystrophy, muscle degeneration is a disease. Osteoporosis, it is bone degeneration. And many of the, bone marrow issues, right? Or impotency and infertility, the Shukla Dhatu. So in all levels, all the dhatus are very, very important. It is having its own function. The first dhatu, the first tissue, rasa dhatu, the nutritive essence absorbed after the digestion of food, it nourishes the entire tissues, right? The nourishing the entire system is the primary function of that dhatu, the nutritive essence. That is the first dhatu with the plasma, right? Rasa dhatu. Whereas the function of Rakta, the blood and associated tissues are Jivanam, giving life. Getting the pranavayu, the oxygen to the entire system, taking out waste from the entire tissues, providing nutrients to the entire tissues, and getting the immune system support to all the tissues. Blood gives life, right? It helps in maintaining the life. Muscle tissue, the mamsa dhatu, muscle and associated tissue, it gives the strength, it covers all the vital organs and protects it and gives more confidence, more vitality and strength, right? And the meda, fat and associated tissue, it gives the lubrication to the system. It helps in, the thermoregulation. It acts as a protective layer. It reduces the friction within the system. And, many of the tissue nourishment, the lubrication, protection, thermoregulation, lot of functions of medodhatu. Fat is not bad. People think that fat means bad. No. A particular percentage of fat is inevitable for a balanced life, healthy life. Then comes to bone. Bone protects and gives the structure, the skeletal system, and holds the body in its own natural posture and structure. Right? Bone marrow. It helps in, nourishing the entire tissues. Puranam is the main function. It fills within the lumen in the bone and helps in filling the entire system. We know that the stem cells, the fresh cells are mainly produced from the bone marrow, whether it is blood cells and other cells. Stem cells are the cells, neutral cells, that can transform to any tissue based on where it comes and falls, right? That is called stem cell. And the main source of those neutral fresh cells are the bone marrow. So Puranam means bone marrow act as a source for filling all the gaps of the tissues, because that is the source of all the fresh neutral stem cells to nourish the entire body, not only the bone, not just filling the bone, but filling the entire system, act as a source, right? Finally, the Shukla Dhatu, its function is about the reproduction, giving new life, a new generation, new world, very important. So imbalance in any of these tissues, that is definitely a disease, right? Then the problem in excretion, if there is a constipation or bowel movement issue, or there is a urinary issue, a problem with the sweating, it's a disease. Finally, we all know that an imbalance in mind, an unpleasant mind, is the source of many complex diseases, both physical and mental disease. An imbalanced mind, unpleasant mind, can create physical problem. The psychosomatic effect and the somatopsychic effect. Mind and body interacts each other. An imbalanced bodily system can cause imbalance in mind. An imbalanced mind can cause imbalance in the body systems. A harmony and balance of all these levels is the health. An imbalance at one of these levels or multiple levels causes the disease and makes the disease, whether simple or complex, based on how many systems are affected in the doshas, Agni, Dhatu, Mala, and the mind. Very interesting, right? And Ayurveda gives all the tools in bringing harmony in all these levels. We will discuss that. Triggers of diseases. Diseases can happen due to imbalances in various levels. As we discussed, it can be at the dosha level, the imbalance of Vata, Pitta, Kapha, or at the Agni level, the imbalance in the digestive or metabolic fires. At the Dhatu level, that is the tissue level, any of the tissues are getting depleted, like anemia or any other tissues, or the problems with the excretory system, bowel, urine, sweat, or at the mind level. It can happen in any level, and sometime at multiple levels. And all the systems are interacting each other. So when a particular dosha increases, that will definitely affect the Agni, that will affect the Dhatu, that will affect the Mala, that will affect the mind. So all interacting each other. For example, Pitta is a fire, right? So when Pitta increases or aggravates beyond the limit, what happens? You will get acidic, you will get excessive fire within you. That means an increased Pitta, there will be a tendency of increased Agni. So when there is an increased Agni, that can affect the Dhatus accordingly. And when the fire element increases within the system, you can get more intense, right? So everything has a cascading effect on each other, and that influences the balance or imbalance or our health. Now about various triggers of health problems. There are external triggers and internal triggers. But whatever be the reason, our body and mind has enough threshold, both have enough threshold to handle the fluctuations in life. But if the disturbance, if the reasons are continuing to happen, or the intensity of the reason is very high, then it goes out of balance. The small natural variations body and mind can easily, understand and try to help. For example, you are traveling, the weather is warm, much warmer than your natural, regular living place. Body has a tendency to balance that through, generating more sweat, and you will feel more thirsty. You need to replenish the water. Body will ask you whatever need to be done to balance that excessive heat. So there is a natural mechanism, and it is a secret of nature's existence. Nature has all the tools, all the possibilities of balancing on its own. As I mentioned, before, the healer is within the individual. The immune system is within the individual. So there is a natural mechanism of healing. If we are getting a small cut or a burn, even though we are not applying any ointments or any medicine or taking any medicine, automatically it will heal off, right? Who is healing it? So there is a natural innate healer within, an immune system and healing system within, that will get activated. So in all natural phenomena, that is the case. Another simple example of the nature's capability of balancing it is, take 2 cups. Fill 1 cup with ice cold water and fill the other cup with boiling hot water. Keep both the glasses on a table and wait for 30 minutes. Go back and check the temperature in both the glasses. The ice cold water, the temperature will increase and come to the normal room temperature. At the same time, on the same table, the boiling hot water, the temperature will go down to the room temperature. Very interesting, right? On the same table, 2 cups. In 1 cup, the temperature is increasing from ice cold to room temperature. And the other hot boiling water, the temperature goes down to the room temperature. It's a simple demonstration of nature's influence or nature's property of bringing balance naturally. This is there everywhere. Whether in a plant or an animal or a human being or overall nature, there is a natural balancing mechanism going on. The same way, within our body, there is a balancing mechanism going on. That is why a cut or wound is healing without any problem. That is why when an allergen comes and causes sneezing, body produces a lot of mucus, creating a barrier in between the allergen and the body. That is why the mucus. It is a protective mechanism. When something is going and irritating the lungs, you cough. It's a protective mechanism to take out what is not required. When you eat something which is very heavy, body is not able to digest, you may get vomiting or you may get diarrhea. That is also a positive mechanism for body to reject whatever body cannot handle or accept. While having all these protective and balancing mechanisms, still people are getting into various diseases. Arthritis like musculoskeletal diseases, obesity like metabolic diseases, anxiety like mental diseases, hormonal problems, menstrual disorders, digestive problems, cancer, lot of issues. Even while nature endowed us with all these support system and balancing system. Why? There comes the triggers. Whenever there is a natural trigger for imbalance happens, body will activate its protective mechanism. If there is a small, a cut happens, automatically within 2-3 minutes there will be a layer of serum, plasma comes and fills there. The platelet comes and blocks, stops bleeding, and healing starts. But the issue is, if the same cut, if it was a small cut, little bit blood came, suddenly a sticky fluid came and filled in that area, within 5 to 10 minutes bleeding stopped. After 2-3 hours, you can see that there is a slimy layer of protective serum blocking, or closing it. In 24 hours, the color changed, and within few days, it's healed off. But if the same wound, if it is much bigger, if it is opening the main vessel, or if it is keep on happening, then body will not be able to handle on its own. It can get into a different level or a complication. So one is the chronicity, the type of exposure. Second is the severity of the exposure. So in all cases, whether it is, you take the most common example of obesity itself, it is not that in one day an individual gets into obesity, right? It's an accumulated issue. The reason for a slow metabolism, either we are not understanding it, so we keep on doing the wrong, food pattern or sedentary life pattern. Whatever be the reason, we continue to do that. And that gradually and slowly accumulates. And Ayurveda mentions about 3 universal reasons for diseases. 3 universal reasons. All the etiologies, all the causes for diseases are classified into primarily 3 categories. One is called Prajna Aparadham. That means, Prajna means intelligence, the wisdom. Aparadham means crime. It is crime against wisdom or crime against intelligence. What does that mean? You know that this is wrong for your health and your life, but still you do that. Knowingly you are doing wrong thing. That is called Prajna Aparadham, crime against intelligence. All smokers are well aware that it is very dangerous for their body, but still they are smoking. Most of the people are aware about, not sleeping in time is not good for health, but still late nights or, till early morning partying, etc. So whenever you do something wrong, even after knowing that this is not good for health and life, that is called Prajna Aparadham. And we do that in and out every day, right? Everybody does that. So the awareness about it and practice of minimizing those exposure would be one. So one trigger is Prajna Aparadham or crime against intelligence, very common. Second is called the altered sensory exposure. Asadmya Indriyartha Samyogam. Your senses, all the 5 senses are the portal of connecting with the outside world. You are seeing something, hearing something, smelling something, tasting and touch. All the senses are the portal always connecting with the external world. And from the beginning, from the birth onwards, it's always working. All the systems are always working. Now, if your senses are getting into a wrong exposure, that can cause weakness and lead to diseases. What is the meaning of wrong exposure or irregular exposure? One, we call it as, Hina Yogam. Hina Yoga means it's a very, dim or less exposure. Reading in a very dim light, in a dark, situation, you are trying to read. So you'll be straining your eye a lot to read and understand in a very dim light. That is an example of, Hina Yoga. Or reading in a very bright light. That is also not good for the eye, right? Too much bright light. So that is called Ati Yogam, excessive exposure. Then there is a third level of exposure. It is called Mithya Yoga. Mithya means altered exposure. For example, trying to read, in a flickering light. Very strenuous, right? Flickering means sudden fluctuation from dark to light, right? So in a flickering light, when you try to read, that is very strenuous for the system. These three are the altered exposure that is not healthy. In place of that, if you are reading in a pleasant, stable, medium light, very good. So these kind of exposures are called Asatmi Indriyartha Samyogam, a reason for disease on a long term. And the third reason is called Parinam. Parinama means evolution, connected to time. Aging is a, time related problem, aging and degeneration. It's a time bound issue. So that is the third primary classification of causes. So, crime against intelligence, knowingly doing wrong thing, altered or improper exposure of the sense organs, as well as the time. It could be seasonal issues or, due to aging and the time issues. These are the primary three reasons for various health problems. Disease and its influence on body and mind. All the diseases, all the imbalances affects two planes. One is the physical plane, second is the mental plane. There are diseases that is affecting the mind. There are diseases affecting the physical body. And in some cases, the physical imbalance will cause the imbalance of the mind, mental diseases, and the imbalance in the mind can trigger the physical disorders also. And according to Ayurveda, mind and body are not two units. It's a single unit. Any problem affecting your mind will affect your physical body and vice versa. And the same way the healing also. Physical healing can be brought in through the mental practices, rituals, yoga, meditation. Mental balance can be brought in through the physical portal, through food, routines, etc. Both are important. The primary reason for most of the disease are classified into ahara and vihara. Aharascha, viharascha. Ahara means food. Ahara means the water we are drinking. The literally meaning of aharanam means taking in. So ahara means anything that we take in. What are those? Primarily it is the food, right? Primarily it is food. But when you say aharam, that includes food, water, air and perceptions. These are the only four inputs in our life, entire life. Food, water, air and perceptions. All the time we are breathing, right? All the time we are seeing things, hearing things. The seeing is nothing but it is input, right? So one is that, taking care of that, ahara. Then second is vihara. Vihara means the lifestyle. What is lifestyle? Whatever we are doing in a day is our lifestyle. When are we sleeping? What is our job? And what is our habits? And what are we doing every day? Are we doing exercise or not? The average of our daily routine is our lifestyle. So if these two areas, the ahara and the vihara, the inputs and the routines, if there is a balance in those two areas, that will, help us to keep up the health. Any imbalance, any irregularity, any problem with these two areas can create disease and disorder. And these are the only area an individual can help, actually. These two areas can be controlled and managed by each individual. Ayurveda gives lot of information on how we can keep up a good balance in these two areas, ahara and vihara. Very specific instruction on, the food, what food is good for what type of, body type. When I say body type, the concept of body constitution or the concept of prakriti is very well explained in the Ayurvedic classics. Body constitution, in Sanskrit it is prakriti. Prakriti means nature. Everyone has their own specific nature. And that nature or prakriti is derived at the time of, the inception. We born with certain qualities, structural, functional qualities, and that will never change. See, when I move from one country to another country, I may change my dress pattern, I may change my food pattern, or I may change few things, but these are all very superficial changes, right? The core individual, wherever they go, whatever be their age, there are certain core signature, certain core features. That is called prakriti or the body constitution. And that is nothing but the particular state of dosha. The definition of that prakriti or constitution in Ayurveda is very simple. It is a state of dosha that will be existing in an individual during the whole life period. It is generated on its own during the inception, and that will be same throughout the life. And that dosha state will not cause any disease on its own. That is the body constitution or body type. So it's a dosha state. So there is a vata constitution, there is a pitta constitution, kapha constitution, and the combination. There are total 7 body types or 7 prakritis. A vata type, a pitta type, a kapha type, and the combinations vata pitta, vata kapha, pitta kapha. Finally, the combination of all the 3 together. It is called tridosha prakriti or sama prakriti, balanced prakriti. And according to the constitution, the features, the physical features, the functions, the attitude, everything varies. And they will carry the features, dominant features of their prakriti dosha. For example, vata is the principle of movement, right? The principle of dynamism. So a vata constitution will be always mobile. They cannot sit and relax. They will be always moving. They will have inconsistent thinking. Sticking onto a decision or position will be difficult for them. They are generally lean in nature. They are inconsistent in their all routines. They are very talkative people. So these are all the features of vata dominance, because vata is the principle of movement. Now take pitta constitution. Pitta is fire, predominantly fire, right? So they will have the fire influence. They cannot tolerate heat. They are very sensitive in nature, very systematic in approach. About time and space, they are very, very systematic. But they want everything to move according to their decision or desire, or they will get easily affected. Big problem they may take easy, but small thing can disturb them. Their approach is either my way or the highway. That is the Pitta constitution. Then comes the Kapha constitution. Kapha is earth and water, the heaviest elements, right? Kapha is heavy, sticky, cold. So they tend to have, heavy body. They are a bit slow and lazy in nature because Kapha is more slow. And they like warmth. They need always the stimulation, Their approach is always, their attitude is, we'll do it tomorrow. That is a general, feature. So these are all some information about, different constitutions. And our food routine, etc., if we can customize based on the constitution, that will also help to preserve the health. Now, talking about the mind influencing body and body influencing mind, I can bring lot of, examples for that, right? The interrelationship between body and mind. It's like, when you are sad one day, you won't feel like eating. You are not interested in eating if you are very sad. Why? The sadness stops the secretion that stimulates the hunger. So it's an effect of mind on the body. Another example, if one day you are really constipated, you will be irritable on that day. You will be restless mentally on that day. It's an effect of a physical issue on the mind. And I can, bring a lot of examples to demonstrate this. Anyway, there is an influence of body on the mind and mind on the body. And both levels need to be taken care properly in a balanced way. Principles of disease management. Disease is an outcome of imbalance at one or multiple levels. Dosha, dhatu, mala, mind. And coming out from that imbalance is restoration of balance. Understanding what has gone out of balance and bringing those things back into the balance. That is the disease management. How to do that? Ayurveda gives some very simple suggestions in bringing or restoring the balance. The first step of any disease management is avoiding the cause. If you know that exposure to cold or exposure to the cold water or cold weather is the reason for the chronic congestion and cold, avoiding cold water intake or avoiding exposure to cold would be the first step. Otherwise you may take some remedies for that. Again, if you're going back to the reason of the exposure to cold, definitely the problem will recur again. So avoiding the cause is the first step in the disease management. Then coming to the food and routines. Vriddhi samane sarvesham vipariter viparyeya. It's a fundamental principle of restoring the balance. According to what principle is going out of balance, or what is the reason for the disease in you, You need to find the remedy accordingly. Same quality always causes increase. For example, if there is a pitta aggravation in you, pitta is nothing but fire, causing acidity, causing burning. It's a pitta expression. If you are adding the same quality further, the problem will increase. While having acidity and burning, you are eating a lot of red chilies or hot spices. Definitely your acidity will increase, right? Why it is increasing? You added the same quality again. It was, heat and acid within. You added further heat to it by taking the black pepper or, red chilies, which is very pungent in nature. When you add the same quality, it increases that particular nature. Then how to bring balance? You add opposite quality. If you are having burning, acidity, etc., you may take something cooling in nature. You may take some, room temperature milk with some sugar, because milk is having a cooling effect on your system. So adding the opposite quality is always the fundamental principle of balancing, restoring the balance. That is why if you have a little bit cough and congestion and cold, what do? Our grandma's remedy. You make some tea with some dried ginger, pepper, and the payam jaggery and drink it. What are you doing there? You are adding opposite quality. Because the congestion is kapha. Kapha is sticky, cold, heavy. So you are adding more pungent, hot items that disseminates or balances the kapha. You feel your congestion is much better maybe in few minutes. Very simple, right? So adding the opposite quality always helps in bringing the balance. When you add the same quality, it always causes increase. Very simple fundamental principle of restoration of balance. In every cases, it is the same. Whether it is vata, pitta, kapha, it is the same. Adding opposite quality is the management protocol. Now, talking about the disease management, based on the type of the problem, based on the severity of the problem, and also based on the chronicity of the problem. Chronicity means how long this individual has been having this issue. So based on the chronicity, severity, and the type of the problem, you may need simple or complex protocols, solutions. Simple issues can be handled even from home. According to me, Ayurveda provides information actually to handle 70% of your problems from home itself. Your kitchen cabinet is the first pharmacy. It's already there. And some of the serious issues can be corrected with your kitchen ingredients. In my last, more than 15 years of Ayurvedic practice and experience, I have seen a lot of cases getting much better with the simple home remedies. I can tell you a lot of examples. An example of somebody with a stroke, cerebrovascular accident, and the hemiplegia, half body paralyzed, who came out of the problem with a few garlic, parts every day, garlic milk every day. Chronic allergies with just turmeric powder and hot milk every day. The chronic congestion and tendency to get cold with a preparation with the ginger. So there are a lot of simple things which is available at home. The proper identification and usage of those things will save our life. It will help us to prolong a healthy, balanced life. So understanding the ingredients, and it has been there, right? Thousands of years. But as a part of the advancement in the science and technology, we tend to go away from the nature. We felt that more refined means better. But now it is changing, I'm telling you. Because all the experience and the learnings what we have proved that, as long as we are with the mother nature, then mother is there to protect us. Whenever we go away from the nature, then there is no, support from the mother because we are away from her, right? There are many, observations and studies proving the same. For example, the effect of maida, that is the white flour, and the wheat flour. There are some, observation that the white flour causes more inflammation than wheat flour. It is from the same source, wheat. Then what is the difference? White flour is a more refined form. Then what happens? See, this body is a nature's blend. Our body is a nature's blend, right? And our body will be able to identify, accept, utilize another nature's blend. Very easy. Whenever you go away from that nature's blend, then for body, it is something like a foreign body. It is not familiar, right? That is the wheat flour and white flour. Wheat flour is the nature's blend. White flour is a more refined form of the wheat flour. Refinement means you are breaking the nature's bond, the nature's structure. Then after some time, it's like a chemical. It's a foreign body for the system. When you eat more maida, the white flour, body is feeling there is something abnormal, unfamiliar. So there will be inflammation, there will be reaction, there will be cries.